I do want to spend a few minutes talking about transition, although I know we didn't want to go there, and then let you guys have a chance to ask our panelists some questions. So, Rory, you mentioned it was a little bit tough to find an adult healthcare provider, but it
Yes.
sounds like you finally did. How did you find the person that you're working with now?
Well, here's the thing. After Children's Hospital, we tried different places. None of them seemed like the right place or the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Though I found before Dr. Trotter, there was one family doctor I had at Victorianville. I'm not going to mention the name.
Try not to.
That's
but it's
okay.
hard not to.
Anyway, this guy, he was a good doctor, and he was my family doctor until he retired just recently last year, and
Mm-hmm.
so we tried to find someone else, and that's how. Then, just last October, found OSU Family Practice.
Mm-hmm. And so that's worked for you. That's
yeah,
good.
that's how I ended up.
Okay. Sandra or anybody else want to talk about what they're...
Well, when I first came to Columbus, and when I moved from the town I grew up in and had to find a new doctor, it was like Rory, it was hard to find the right match. But I'm very pleased with the family practitioner that I have. She's very gentle. She knows about how much to be in my space. She's listens to everything and then sorts it and sifts it, as a doctor should, to try to figure out. And one of the things that she has learned is that whenever there's an increase in behavior with me, or a change in behavior or sleep patterns, then she knows that I am getting sick. And sometimes it can be like a detective trying to figure out exactly what it is that's going on. And sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's not. But many times you will have that kind of scenario come in. But she often, when she doesn't have an expertise in something, always sends me to a specialist to go to. But what I really wish would happen is that, you know how they have developmental pediatricians, I wish they would have developmental family practitioners or doctors that deal with that, so that we don't have to actually transition, because to give up somebody who's you've trusted and built that trust with and has a history of your health and stuff, and have to start somewhere else who has no history or understanding point to start from, that's like starting all over. And for us, it's very difficult, because it means re-saying what's already been said for years, and things that you have to just try to build a new rapport and trust level with a new doctor. And for me, I'm very happy with my family doctor, but it's sometimes some of the specialists that she sends me to that don't get me. I have problems with some of them, because I keep wondering how they became a doctor, being honest, because they don't have good bedside manners. They're kind of really, sometimes some of them are so scattered that, like, for example, one doctor I came in, he's the one that ordered the test, and I came back a few months later when all the tests were back, and he was wondering who ordered the test. I kept saying, you did. He said, I did. And I said, yes, you did. You should have all the lab stuff and everything. He goes, what place did you go to get your labs done? I said, the place you sent me to. He kept saying, who sent it? Who ordered these tests? He kept repeating the same questions over and over. And I thought, why don't you let me go behind the counter? I'll find my file and find all the information you need. And that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't going to be rude. But I walked out thinking, what the heck was that experience? But he did find all my reports and things, but he just kind of got frustrated and walked out of the room, was gone for like 20 minutes, and came back with everything that I told him he had. So it was just sometimes transitioning to a different doctor is really difficult, and just those experiences can shut you down from going back.
Well,
and
I was
wanting
going to
to be
say,
there.
I'm, at this point, I'm pretty frustrated in the sense of, it's not the doctor himself, it's where he's located. And it's the process of walking through Children's Hospital, which, not that I don't like children, we've spent a lot of time there. It's the fact that I'm taking these young men to Children's Hospital, and they're adults, but we have to have an adult doctor. And he is great, but it's kind of like we're walking through where she's doing maybe an evaluation over here, like 6 other doctors. And there's another couple doctors doing their thing over there, and we still have to go through, we have to go see this guy over here to register, and then we have to go to this desk, and then we
Yes.
have to sit over here. Well, you know what, I'm done with that. I want to walk in and have what maybe it's because I'm an adult and my guys are an adult, I want them to have an adult experience. And so when I took Peter for his first appointment, he was like, I'm no baby no more. You know, I want to go to the big doctor. I said, well, he is the big doctor. And so, you know, we kind of had to walk through this whole process and explain to him that even though it's Nationwide Children's Hospital, that this is so for me, it's a step back versus a step up. Even though we were still going to a pediatrician, when we were going to those appointments, it was just usually us coming in at the end of the day, and there wasn't a lot of little kids unless there was a little baby sick. But it's felt like an adult doctor's appointment. I know when I go to my adult doctor's appointment, there are people that are older than me and a little bit younger, but there's no little kids sitting there crying and whining. And so for me, for that part of the transition, that's been hard. The other part of the transition is just explaining yourself, like Sandra said. I have to, maybe it's because I've got 2 kids, I don't know, but I get tired of telling the same story over and over.
Yes.
And I really want my jump drive, which one of these days I'm going to do. I'm going to put all my stuff on a jump drive and say, here, you listen to this and all this stuff, and then tell me what you want to do. Because I forget. I mean, I forgot today because I've got so much information in my brain that I can't even.
That's
And even though Amy's got this great approach, I wish I could have her approach, but I can't because it was a little late coming, the medical home model. I can't get it together. Now, maybe I should, but I don't know what Sarah does, but
That's
she's
the
got
We don't
reason-
have a medical home. I do it all, and
Oh.
I need to get on that chart. Yeah.
Call me.
Well, it's really, I think what you have to understand, and I don't know if these guys touched on it, I think the hard part for parents and or folks with a disability is, you know, we kind of, at least in my day and age, we look up to a doctor. We think you're supposed to know what's going on. And I'm looking at this young man in the front. Oh no, look, he's smiling. Well, no, I'm not picking on you, but you know, we expect you to have that answer. And so one of the things that I was told early on with Pat was from another physician who's not a pediatrician or our pediatrician was just tell the doctor to throw the textbook out and look at the person. And I think Amy mentioned that before. But I think that's so hard for you guys because everything you're taught is ABC, 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 and this is, if it's not this, it's that. If it's not this. Well, when it comes to our guys, nothing's right. And I mean, in general, for a long time, Peter had diarrhea. He has a colostomy bag. It's my guy with Downs. And so we tried more stuff to stop him from having diarrhea. The bottom line was antibiotics make his stool more firm, which normally doesn't happen in the average person. So there it is. He's not the average person. Pat's not the average person. Our guys, their bodies just run differently, I believe. And Sandra almost said that to a T, that, you know, medication, when we're giving them medication, you got to start small versus giving them, for a 325-pound guy, you got to give him a horse dart to get him down. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe he just needs a little bit versus, I mean, there's no science sometimes behind them. Is that a good way to?
Well, there is science, it's just not caught up with our practice yet.
But anyway, so think about it that way when you're dealing with our population, that it's, yeah, there's all this stuff that you've learned, but you know, look at this thing and look at where it maybe could be here or here or here. They're not on this down the list,
Yes,
kind of.
and some of the things that with autism, a lot of people say, oh, the diarrhea or the bowel issues are just part of the autism and they don't want to investigate further, and they really do need to investigate further because so many of us have digestive absorption issues and all kinds of gut kinds of issues that needs to be investigated. I used to have chronic diarrhea and things for years and years and never found out until just last year it was because of severe allergies. I'm allergic to dairies and peanuts and the eggs and stuff that I'm eating every single day, which was making me nauseated, throwing up, having diarrhea for years. Nobody ever thought to test for allergies. And they just kept scoping and doing things and finding all these little ulcerative things, but never really giving me an answer to help treat anything. And the only other thing I wanted to add, if it's okay, Karen, is that It was brought up quite a bit about the non-speaking population with autism. And many times you might assume, because it's more like an illusion, you might assume when that person comes into your room that they're severely impacted by intellectual impairment. But most of the time what you're seeing is just a severe expression of autism. Really, their language and ability to understand what's going on around them may be fully intact. Just because they're not giving you eye contact, walking around the room, tapping and acting as if they have no comprehension of the words going on in the room, they may be fully aware of everything that you're saying around their room, so always be respectful of that.
I've always said that about my son.
Excellent point.
Yeah, very, very good point.
If you hear anything today, hear that point.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
And it's so very true.